Dominic Calvert-Lewin, player of the match, and we will talk about him a little bit later on. But overall, in terms of that performance, Wayne, we heard the players saying all the right things. This is just about points in the league. Yes, it's a bit special, trying to keep their emotions in check. But they will be so buoyed by this as they head into the latter stage of the season, particularly because it was so well-deserved.
Yeah, it was a huge game, obviously, for both clubs tonight. And I think the way Everton started the game, we knew Liverpool would have a lot of the ball and have possession, but just how aggressive they were getting up to the ball and at the right moment. Set pieces was always going to be massive in Everton's favour. And I thought Liverpool were very naive in how they defended set pieces because they would have knew that was coming. And the work they put in, I think Everton, ran a lot more than Liverpool tonight, and you get your rewards for that. So I was delighted to see Everton win here at Goodison. It's been a long time. Like all the fans here, just so happy.
Yeah, it's been 14 years, but it's not just here at Goodison. It's been difficult at Anfield as well. It's been a long time since Everton. They had the 1-0 victory the victory at Anfield in COVID, but it's been a long time since they've been able to celebrate a win in front of fans anywhere. Yeah,
it is, and I think they got a bit of confidence obviously after the Forest game. So to come into this game, you had a little bit of a bounce in the step as well, and I'm delighted for the fans because the last few years, Everton Football Club and the fans have been through a really difficult period. Not much to celebrate, and always, wondering whether they're going to stay in the league or not. And tonight almost, cements the place in the Premier League, but to do it against Liverpool, it was a great night.
As Wayne said, more possession, more shots from Liverpool without looking particularly threatening for large parts of the game. Yes, they had their chances, but what was wrong with their performance tonight, do you think?
I think they played into Everton's hands initially, and that's not just a Sean Dyche Everton. I think every time you come to Goodison, it's a tight pitch, the crowd want to get involved and they want to use set pieces. That's always Everton's way to beat Liverpool, and I just think Liverpool, the way they started the game, was really naive. Paul giving silly fouls away, taking too long on the ball and letting the crowd get into the game. But then they got into the game and started making passes, started creating chances before half-time. Now, the chance Núñez misses before half-time, that's unforgivable at this level. These lads know a lot more than me about that, but that's not acceptable at this level, certainly when Liverpool are going for the title. I actually thought at the start of the second half, Liverpool were in control of the game, and I thought a goal's coming. And I just thought if Liverpool got one, they'll end up going on and getting two. And I thought Liverpool started the second half really well. And then Mo Salah gave a ball away. And Liverpool should defend the corner a lot better again. But Mo Salah gave a ball away, and he's just looked a shadow of himself for a lot of this season, but especially since he's come back from injury. And he is Liverpool's legend, superstar, one of the all-time greats, but he's been so far off. And then as soon as it went 2-0, there was no way, it didn't feel like Liverpool were going to get back into the game, and then they did run out of ideas.
Yeah, the next game that Virgil van Dijk mentioned a couple of times there is West Ham at 12:30 on Saturday coming. But they were supposed to be going there with title ambitions. Virgil van Dijk hasn't conceded it yet. They're 3 points off Arsenal. And yes, they're just ahead of City, but City have those 2 games in hand. And it definitely feels like this is going to be an almost impossible task for Liverpool now. But on the night, Van Dijk isolated a few errors and a few issues that he thought led to Liverpool being beaten. Would you go along with them?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think he was out there and felt it, but watching the game, you could kind of sense that, as I said, from the first sort of 30 minutes, they didn't seem like they were quite at it. You were expecting a game like this coming away at Goodison Park. You're expecting, OK, the players know what's at stake here. They've got to secure the 3 points. They've got to match Everton's intensity because they're fighting in a relegation battle. So it's clear what's at stake in the game. And I just think some of the players maybe didn't understand or feel what a derby day would feel like today. Some of them, it was their first game in Goodison Park in a derby. The chances, that you talked about, of course, in front of goal. You're expecting your players in this type of game to put those chances away because you're not going to be getting loads of chances. And then he talked about the fight and sort of conceded the fight again in a game like this. These two guys to the left and right of me, they've represented these clubs and are fans of the clubs, and they understand what it takes. And I think sometimes as a player, you have to put yourself in not just the club shoes, but in the fan shoes, and understand, like, okay, I'm playing for myself, for the team, to win a title, to fight against relegation, but also it's a pride thing. It's like, let's not get outfought today. You know, that's rule number one. Let's not get outfought today. And I think in the end, when you hear the captain conceding that, you know, yeah, we got outfought today, I think it's not a nice thing to see. But in the end, you know, they'll lick their wounds. They've got more games to go at the end of the season. There's a lot of football to be played. There's four or five games left to be played. But yeah, it's not looking like they're going to win the Premier League now.
I mean, the other point that...
Sorry, I think a worrying thing there is, and I think it's happened a lot throughout the season as well, is, as Daniel said, he's the captain. He's saying about Liverpool getting out forward, but again, we're hearing about 12:30 kickoffs after he's just lost a derby. Now, he should be wanting, and that Liverpool team should be wanting to be on the pitch tomorrow morning to get the next game going, because when you lose a game, especially a derby game, you want the next game to come quick. And again, we've heard it so many times this season with Liverpool about 12:30 kickoffs. Get on with it. That's part of your job. Get on with it, and you should be ready to play.
And there were other issues that he raised in that. One of them was giving away silly free kicks, and that was something that you picked up on right from the get-go, Jamie.
Yeah, listen, Everton are brilliant on set piece. Tarkowski, for me, is the best in the league. It's actually Branthwaite to get his head on that first one, but the challenge is Liverpool weren't aggressive enough in dealing with it. Everton looked like scoring off every set piece. And Canati then just... I mean, Canati's been so poor of late. I mean, really poor. Liverpool need to buy a centre-back in the summer. But, I mean, we looked at it, it was a tight offside, but it was... Obviously, they looked at it, it was just onside. But they did a job on Van Dijk in basically saying, if he doesn't head the ball, we block him, we're going to have joy against the other players. And they keep it alive, Everton, credit to them, they get bodies there. A mistake by, as I say, Canate, and they finish. But it being coming from that situation. And you can talk about... I think it's easy after a derby game, whoever loses it, because there's so much emotion involved. I think the easy thing after a derby game, whether Everton win or Liverpool win, is to say the other one didn't win it, because you get emotional. Now, I go back to when I played myself. Now, you could say Liverpool didn't fancy it today, but in terms of, like, maybe at times being too intense or too aggressive in free play and giving fouls away, now, that's not using your brain. The reason why we had probably decent success against Everton over the years, because I think we probably were a little bit cooler at times.
Not always.
No, not always.
Says you.
No, but I mean, Everton, normally you get a man sent off. Do you know what I mean? Especially here, the crowd to get up. And I just think sometimes, yeah, when that ball comes in the box, you've got to win your headers on the set pieces. But what was going on in the middle of the pitch, I'm not talking about bad fouls by Liverpool, but stupid fouls, silly things, just running into the back of people and letting Everton put the ball in the box. And Everton set piece-wise are as good as anybody in the country. So it's an easy thing when you're emotional to say Liverpool didn't want it tonight, but they didn't actually just use the brains enough in that game, certainly the first half an hour, and just keep the ball and take the sting out of the game.
You know what I'm going to say, Carra, as well, is when we talk about them not wanting it enough, I don't think it's that they didn't want it enough. I think it's just that they didn't perform to the level that we all expect of them. I don't think it's like, oh, yeah, we've come here today and oh, yeah, we just didn't want to win. Of course they wanted to win. They're going for the title. But clearly, I think something was missing tonight. It just didn't quite feel like the kind of performance that you would have expected today.
But I think that's where you've got to give Sean Dyche a lot of credit as well.
Yeah.
Because Everton tactically, they set up, and they knew they weren't going to have the ball, and they set up, they made it difficult. Liverpool, I've not seen a Liverpool team run out of ideas the way they did today, and so many straight balls straight into Tarkowski, to Branthwaite. And it was... Liverpool just didn't know what to do. They couldn't find a way to... They tried to go round them. They put a few crosses in the box late on, which Everton dealt with, and they completely looked lost out there, which is very rare for a Liverpool team.
And on the flip side, they were undone again by another free kick from Everton. Another set-piece, rather, from
Everton.
And
this was... Everton, throughout the season, you know, they delivered the ball to the back post, and they make it difficult for you, and they've got so many big players, and it's a great leap. Great. I thought... What I said before the game about Dominic is... When he's on it, he's getting above people, and he's using his body and he's using his speed, running behind. He's a very difficult player to mark, and I thought we've seen that today, and I was delighted for him to get his goal, and obviously the winning goal as well.
I mean, it's a complete free header, and you know, I'm not the best person to talk about this as a striker, but for me, if I'm the striker in this instance, you know, I wasn't the best at heading the ball, but to have a free header in the box is you know, a beautiful thing for a striker. What was you going to say there?
Sorry, mate, I don't want to interrupt you. It's easy to... Everton did the job on Van Dijk tonight, and it's easy to say, oh, Calvert-Lewin had a bit of joy and he got blocked off there and blocked off there. That man takes that much responsibility on almost every set piece. Where are the others? It can't always be about Van Dijk. If you've got the opposition blocking you to stop you winning defensive headers, it shows how dominant you are. You need more help. People have got to be more aggressive. So you look at the rest of the back four, you know, there's Trent at the back post there. We've seen Canate on the first goal. You need more people there who actually taking that responsibility and not just leaving it to basically, you know, the captain, Virgil van Dijk, the Colossus at the back. He needs more help there at the back, and he never got it today on the set pieces.
What about sharing the responsibility with the forwards as well? Because there were plenty of chances for Liverpool in that game, but not taken.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moments within this game where it's absolutely unbelievable pass by Trent, by the way. And Salah obviously tries to guide this across. But when you're talking about those fine margins today, it's the clinical elements of the game which we talk about. In these games, you need to be taking these opportunities when they come to you, because when you're a player who's playing for a big club, sometimes you don't get a load of chances. You might get one or two, and you've got to take them. And today, look, his finishing's probably let him down today. He's one of those players where he causes a lot of problems, but for defenders, but today just wasn't clinical. Obviously, again, Diaz here, same sort of thing. I just think they weren't at their best today. And for whatever reason, I can't put my finger on it, but it just seems as if they were lacking that edge that you need to take you over, you know, to the next level today. It just didn't seem like it was there,
But Jamie, it's not just been today for Liverpool in terms of not being able to finish off their chances.
No. Mo Salah is Liverpool's goal scorer, and he's gone off the boil. And what's that done? I think it's shone a light on the others a little bit more, because I've said before about Virgil van Dijk maybe at the back getting other people out of trouble. Mo Salah's goals, I wouldn't say I've got other people out of trouble. When you had sort of Firmino and Mane, that was a front three. But I think what we've seen here now in terms of Diaz, Nunes, Salah, you'd probably class that as Liverpool's front three. The others aren't as clinical as what we've seen before, or certainly Mo Salah. And I think there is a real discussion with a new manager coming in, what the future holds for sort of Mo Salah at Liverpool right now. And it's probably the first time we've asked that question, because he's only got a year to go on his deal. I think I'm at the stage now with Nunes where I don't think there is a question to ask. I think after 2 years at the club, and I've probably been guilty of this, you want him to do well so much as there's so much of what you like, because he gives everything, he runs, he causes trouble, he gets the odd goal, he causes an assist. But after 2 years now, and when Liverpool and this season are going for the title, and those big games, you need your man to score away at Old Trafford, away at Goodison, in the European game at Atalanta. There's no time to waste. This is not October, November. This is the business end of the title.
Yeah, and I don't... Carra, just on that, sorry. From that point of view, do you not question the timing of it getting released that Klopp's leaving the club? Because I think over the last few weeks or a couple of months, I think everyone's saying, oh, fairy tale ending and all stuff like that. But the minute it goes wrong, I think you have to look at that timing. Because...
Do you think that's got something to do with Nunes' finishing?
No, but I think with Nunes, maybe with Salah, Van Dijk as well, these players now are looking... Klopp's so popular, even as an Everton fan, I really like Jurgen Klopp, but with him leaving the club, in their heads they'll be thinking, what does my future hold? Am I still going to be a Liverpool player? Do I want to be a Liverpool player? I think that's something which...
Yeah, listen, there might be something in that. There might be something in that, but in terms of Nunes and where the club go forward now, I think after 2 years, I think we've all been in squads where someone comes in, we talk about maybe the first year, where you say, OK, he's getting up to speed with it, he's improving, he's getting better. And it looked like he was at the start of the season, and it's ground to a halt. And you're looking at it now, and after 2 years, I don't think there's going to be a massive improvement in him after the 2 years. I think what we've seen in the 2 years, that is what he is. He can cause trouble, he can be erratic with his finish, it's not going to improve. And I don't think it's going to be enough to win you the biggest trophy. So I think there's a big decision to be made on him in the summer.
For me, I think it's yes, the finishing, we can talk about that. I think, can he play on the left? I think, yes, he can play on the left. Now, is he, if you're saying in a system, in a 4-3-3 system, we talk about you've got goal-scoring wingers or you've got a goal-scoring number 9, typically it's one or the other. I think in this particular team, you've got a goal-scoring winger in Salah, you've got Diaz, who's kind of half and half, and you've got Nunez, who's kind of half and half. Liverpool, when they were successful, had a goal scorer in Sadio Mane, had a goal scorer in Mohamed Salah, and the number 9 Firmino would pitch him with assists and he'd get his goals. Now there's no continuity in terms of who's scoring, who's getting the assists. They're relying on Salah. When Salah's not scoring, Jota is not fit, unfortunately, and he's the one who provides the goals. So in a way, it's like the new manager who comes into the football club is going to have to figure out a way in which to make these players gel. If these players aren't the players who he feels he can gel, then he's going to have to make a big decision. And of course, we can talk about Nunez's finishing. He's going to improve, but he needs to improve.
You obviously, I'm sitting with 2 of the best finish we've probably seen in the Premier League. How easy to improve finishing? I mean, we've watched him now for 2 seasons. Is that possible to improve that? Now, he will have a good spell where he scores a few goals. We saw that at the start of the season, at times last season.
Yeah, it's
is he ever going to be clinical?
It's practice, repetition, and it's almost like you train your brain, and once you get in these areas in training, it becomes more natural and you keep finishing. We were talking before about players at the end of training sessions. You see them still 25 yards out, taking shots at goal. Yeah. If you're a number 9, your finishing should be from 6 yards to 12 yards.
You've got to be doing stuff.
Yeah, OK, but do you really think that they're not doing that? Yeah,
no, I'm dead serious right now.
With sports science, literally the training session finishes. I've seen it. I've been involved in the getting the players in. We used to say out for, I don't know how long, practice of finishing, free kicks, whatever it was. Now, as soon as everything's monitored, as soon as the session finishes, it's get in, we want you off your feet. That's a big change in the game.
If I wanted to improve, I have to do things in places where I do my thing. I'm going to do a step over in this corner of the 6-yard box, go onto my right foot and try and score in the far corner. I'm going to put mannequins in the corner of the goal. I'm going to ask for the young lad as the goalkeeper, and I'm going to do things at match pace. And it might only be 5 or 7, and they might put a limit. But when you're on the edge of the box and you got the coach next to the goal or one of the lads, and they're pinging it to the edge of the box, take a touch. Time faults, lads, this and that. You know what it's like? You've been there, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's not how you improve. I'm being totally honest. You have to do things at match tempo, maybe less than what you would do. You can't stay out for an hour doing things at match tempo, but 5 or 7 shots at match tempo, doing that every single day, I think you will improve, but you've got to do it that way. You can't be ambling around and joking and banter and this and that. It's not going to happen.
He doesn't like to mention it, but he was back in the tracksuit, and it seems to be working for him. It's 2 wins from 2. If he wears it again at Brentford, it could be 3 wins in 3. But what he mentioned there was something you picked up on earlier, and he was talking about the organisation, first of all, but then the individual ability of players within the big moments of the game. Was that the balance that they got absolutely right?
Yeah, I think you have to be organised against the best teams in the league, and for the players, I thought some of the players were outstanding. I thought Harrison, McNeil, maybe players who don't get the credit, James Garner, the work they're putting in to make sure they stay in the game. But then the likes of Calvert-Lewin, you have moments, set pieces or counter-attacks. You have these moments at which you can go and win the game, and I thought they got the balance really, really right tonight.
And what was interesting was that he talked about the difficult moments that they've had as a team, him as a manager, the relationship with the crowd at times, and he's asked them to stay with him, and he said, if you do that, you'll get your reward. He feels that tonight more than delivered on that. Do you think he's a good fit for Everton long term?
Yeah, I think Everton went through a really difficult period for a couple of months, really, where they didn't get results, and they had the points deduction, and the fans were getting frustrated with not getting results, and the fans here, all they want to see is hard work. They want to see hard work, dedication, and playing for the shirt. And you do that, they'll accept it. Sometimes you don't win the game, you lose games. But I think tonight they've shown and they've got good players as well. They've got some really good players, so this will give them a lot of belief moving forward. And I think Sean Dyche has done a fantastic job, because I know firsthand it's not easy when you get points deduction. So for him to manage them players, manage the club the way he has done, and get them through the other side, and hopefully throughout the next year, 2-3 years, we can start to see some stability.
Clearly disappointed, Jurgen Klopp, understandably disappointed, Jurgen Klopp. You know him, Daniel, you've played under him. What did you take from that interview?
Just really disappointed. You could just see that he was deflated. It seemed as if he analysed the performance now, you know, being in it, he probably feels like the players let themselves down maybe. With how big the game was for them. You know, we talked about the set piece, that they knew about the set piece and they've been running that set piece and they managed to still score from the set piece. So he prepared them for those moments and I think they happened even though they prepared for them. And I think sometimes when that happens, that's when you are really disappointed. I'm sure, Wayne, you would say as a coach, when you set your team up to be in a particular style and then, hey, we want to stop this, and then when you see it come to light, you're thinking, lads, we prepared for that.
With Everton, Everton have got such a threat on set pieces, so you can prepare as much as you want and you can set the team up in open play or set pieces. You can set your players up, but you know, you need a bit of luck as well, and I thought Everton really were very strong tonight at set pieces and Liverpool couldn't handle it as much. You know, Liverpool haven't, in preparation, they haven't got Tarkowski, they haven't got Calvert-Lewin to come up against the Liverpool defenders. So you can prepare as much as you want, but until you go into the game, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
He said, Jurgen Klopp, a lot needs to happen in order for Liverpool to win the title. It's still technically possible. It's looking extremely unlikely now. And Manchester City have a chance to go above Liverpool to move on to 76 points if they get the win against Brighton tomorrow night, and then we're heading into those weekend. But they're looking at Arsenal and Manchester City, who haven't lost many games between them this season, and they're looking at them to drop points at a stage of the season where they both look extremely focused.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the points, it's the form Liverpool are in, really, and they've dropped 10 points in the last 7 games.
And the form that Arsenal and Man City are in.
Yeah, and Man City are on a different level to Liverpool this season. I think Arsenal have just got the edge on Liverpool as well. And I actually think this season, I think probably in the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks when you're talking about the top 3 going for the title, I think from a Liverpool point of view, it's almost been a hope rather than a belief. I don't feel, certainly this season, from sort of August to now, I've been watching a title-winning team. And in some ways, I think they've actually overachieved, this team. Because I don't actually think they're that good. And I don't mean it as a criticism. I think they've done brilliantly well. But because it's Klopp's last season, it almost feels like you've got to do this at the end. But if Klopp was staying for like another 2 or 3 years, this would be seen as a great building block to then go on, really. So I think what Liverpool have done this season, they've lost 4 games in the last 44 in the Premier League. So even though I'm gutted they've lost tonight, it looks like the title's gone, I'm finding it hard to be too critical because I think the team and the quality of the players that they've got, they've actually overperformed in some ways this season, and they're just not quite good enough. And it's not about not wanting it here or the Man United game or this. It's just when it comes to the crunch, they've just been a little bit short.
Virgil van Dijk, the way he described it was, you know, we weren't expecting, or people didn't expect us at the start of this season to be in the title race this late into the season, but having been given that opportunity, we've not taken it, tonight particularly.
100%.
And the Palace game he talked about as well.
Of course. And when I speak about the team, we know the manager's changing in the summer. I actually think there might be a little bit more change than what people think in terms of personnel.
You mean in terms of players?
Yeah, I do. It's not just the new manager. I just think of the people who are coming back to the club. Michael Edwards, they left halfway through, you know, Klopp's time, and I think they're going to have a real big say in what goes on at the club and what's maybe happened in the transfer windows, maybe for the last 2 or 3 years when they've not been there. And it's been more in the hands of Jurgen Klopp and Pep Linders. I could see some of those players maybe moving on if they don't think they're up to it, and they'll be a lot more ruthless.
That's what I was saying before about the timing of Klopp leaving. I think we all know how the game is. Players who will look at that and see that as their way of getting out as well.
Okay,
and they'll be speaking to other clubs, and we know that happens. Yeah. And so maybe
what do you think Klopp should have done? What could he have done differently?
You know, it might have got leaked out. He might have had them discussions with Liverpool, and you know, someone might have got hold of it, so he has to announce it.
That's what I'm saying,
so I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying just the timing that come out. I think that will have definitely had an effect on some of them players.
But equally, if you feel that there are changes afoot in terms of the squad itself, I mean, you know you've played under a manager who was absolutely ruthless in Sir Alex Ferguson in terms of building title-winning sides and successive title-winning sides. There's no room for sentiment.
Yeah, I think Jurgen Klopp is almost like a father to a lot of them players, and for them players now to go from Jurgen Klopp, whoever the next manager may be, it's going to be completely different. It's not going to be the same as under Jurgen Klopp. So I think players will find that difficult, and we see it throughout the football works in cycles, and you see managers come and go. He's been there for quite a long time now, and I think some of them players will want a new challenge, and I do believe Liverpool over the next 2 or 3 years will be in a transition period.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the sort of challenges ahead for whoever the new manager is. And at the moment, there are strong reports that they're linking Liverpool with Arne Slot from Feyenoord. But there are different factions of players within there. There are the senior players who have played under him for a large part of his time as Liverpool manager, who did win the title with him. Then there are the young players who've made their debuts this season, who've been brought through under him, and as Wayne said, see him as this father figure. And then there are the players that are maybe coming towards the end of their time at Liverpool and might be starting to look away because they see this as a part of the season, as a point in their careers where there's a natural break and they choose to move on. There's a whole host of issues to be solved here.
There is, and I think, you know, Michael Edwards and the people who are in the backroom team, they had done an incredible job making shrewd signings over the years, getting players at fantastic prices, selling players at fantastic prices, and I think they know what they need to do because they've done it before. So I don't doubt their ability in finding the right coach and signing the right players and allowing the right players to leave because they believe they can replace them. Now, of course, there's been some players who have left the football club and quite haven't really been replaced like for like a Sadio Mane, for being realistic. I don't think he has been replaced, but I do believe that they know what they need to do. I think they probably have already been looking at the players. They've probably been analysing which coach. Maybe they knew before everybody else knew that Jurgen was going, and that, you know, they've probably been looking at which coach and which philosophy suits Liverpool's style. And I think when they brought Jurgen in, he was the perfect man for the job because of how it was at Dortmund, the fan base there, and his personality was so perfect for Liverpool. But now it's very hard to replace that kind of personality and that kind of man. So it's going to be a challenging time.
What we're talking about the personality of Klopp. That you're not going to replace that. The actual thing with Jurgen Klopp, actually, I don't actually think this Liverpool team have won enough, or for actually how good the team have been. So with Jurgen, it hasn't just all. It's been about the journey, not the actual destination at times. The actual journey of getting, and they've obviously come close in league titles, lost European Cup finals, but the journey and the excitement, the nights, and that feeling of what he gave Liverpool supporters, that he was taking you on a journey. Now, I know when you look at data analytics, Liverpool could arguably be, you know, have the best people around, certainly Michael Edwards and his team. But Liverpool need more than just a coach who passes the data skill set. Liverpool supporters need someone who believe they're going to take them on a journey and get them to the top. And Liverpool supporters' relationship with managers, I think, is probably different to any other top club in this country, where, you know, that with your dad, we've had it with Jurgen Klopp, it goes back to Bill Shankly. Benitez had it for a time. Houllier had it for a couple of years as well, where it's like, he's our guy. It's not just enough to have a coach or a top coach. Any coach coming into Liverpool will be a top coach. Liverpool are one of the top teams in world football, so they'll expect a top coach. That's the minimum requirement. But that guy has to have something else, an X factor, a personality. It doesn't have to be exactly like Klopp. Rafa Benitez wasn't like Klopp, he was completely different, but the supporters have got to buy into something, that this is our man, he's going to take us somewhere, because for Liverpool, when they're successful, it's always about the manager. Yeah, other clubs, it's about the great players. Liverpool, it's about that man. And I just hope, obviously, the people making the decision with Liverpool remember that. It's not just about data and how they play. That's a big part of the game, massive. But that emotion of a manager where you just look at him and you feel like you get it there. And that's what Liverpool have had with Jurgen Klopp, and that's what's going to be difficult to replace.
I think we'll be talking a lot about what Liverpool do next over the course of the next few weeks as we get towards the end of the season. But how do Liverpool make sure that Jurgen Klopp's last few weeks as Liverpool manager don't end in a whimper? What do they do now?
You just run for this man. In these last 4 or 5 games, no one will say the title's gone, but we all know the teams they're competing against. So, right, this guy, and what he's done for so many careers in that squad, you run and you don't stop running. You run, like your life depends on it. And that's what you've got to do. And give this man a send-off. In whatever it will be, how many times they win, if they lose another game. His legacy's there. He's an absolute legend. He's loved, obviously, by every Liverpool supporter. But the players there think, OK, maybe the league title's gone. They won't say that to each other. But just run your heart out. Not just for the club, but for the manager between now and the end of the season.